just been reading a book review in this month's 14 Times magazine. The book's called Dinosaurs and the Expanding Earth. And basically what it's talking about is the idea that dinosaurs were able to get as big as they did simply because gravity was not as strong back then as it is nowadays. And it seems to fit in quite well with a little theory I came up with a couple of years back. Posted it onto the BBC Focus magazine's website, so I'll put a link down below to that one. It's just my little theory as to what it was that actually killed the dinosaurs. It seems nowadays that it's accepted scientific fact that a meteorite hit the Earth 65 million years ago, and as a result it killed all the dinosaurs. My theory is that the death of the dinosaurs had absolutely nothing at all to do with a meteorite strike and everything to do with gravity, or a lack thereof. Now, everybody understands, I think, that the Earth is like a giant magnet, and you've got the North Pole at the top and the South Pole at the bottom, and the resulting magnetic field protects the Earth from all sorts of rubbish that's flying in from outer space. But what if the Earth's magnetic field was directly related to the power of the gravity? Geological evidence around the world suggests that the idea that the North Pole's up there and the South Pole's down there has not always been the case, and that from time to time we get a geomagnetic flip and the North Pole becomes the South Pole and vicky-verky. Now, scientists are a bit unsure as to how long it takes for this thing to happen. There's ideas that it takes 1,000 years, other ideas suggest it takes tens of thousands of years. But what happens if it were to take 10 minutes? I reckon that when the poles do flip, gravity turns off. And I think that's exactly what happened during the death of the dinosaurs. 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs were pottering about doing what dinosaurs did, when suddenly the poles flipped. And it was an instantaneous thing, it was like a matter of minutes. So there they are, minding their own business, doing their little dinosaur stuff, when suddenly poles flipped, gravity switches off, and all the dinosaurs floated up into the air. So after a very short time, the poles realign themselves, so North Pole becomes South Pole, gravity suddenly switches back on again, and the dinosaurs fall back to Earth with a crash. That's what killed them, and that is why most fossils are flat. Well, I hear you cry. It can't have been like that because all the mammals survived. Well, of course, a lot of the mammals did survive, because the little mammals were doing what little mammals did at the time, and they were bombing around underground in their tunnels. So of course, when gravity switched off, they'd have only floated up a couple of inches, and they would have just suffered a mild concussion rather than a bad case of death. Now, some dinosaurs did survive the last pole shift, and that was simply because they were busy chasing mammals through tunnels. Or was it the other way around? I'm not too sure. Evolution is a wonderful thing, and I think since the death of the dinosaurs, certain animals have adapted certain techniques that's going to protect them from the next pole shift when it happens. So after the dinosaurs died out, we eventually ended up with the mammals that we're all familiar with now. And I think it's currently accepted scientifically also that the dinosaurs evolved into birds. Absolutely brilliant technique. What better way to say to gravity, "Sod you, pal, you're not going to get me a second time. We're already up here flying around in the air, so you ain't going to harm us while we're up here." Certain mammals have also evolved some fantastic techniques to avoid any dangers should the poles flip again. And a fine example of that is the humble hamster. Now, why do you think hamsters have pouches? Most people think it's so they can store food. Wrong! It's so they can stuff their faces full of ballast, so next time the gravity switches off, they can be held down on the earth. And of course, the argument then is, well, if there ain't no gravity, doesn't matter how much ballast you shove in there, it ain't going to make no difference. So how about the concept that pouches are actually mammalian airbags? They'd simply inflate their pouches and they'll be protected whilst they're inside their tunnels. So evolution is a remarkable thing, and I think the human species would be well advised to learn lessons from the past. Now, this being 2012, the year that the Mayans prophesied the end times, it has been posited that one of the ways in which the world could end is via another pole flip. So, to that end, I suggest everybody go down to their nearest pet shop and get themselves a hamster. Everybody go down to their local sports shop and get themselves a helmet. Now, just as coal miners once used to take canaries down the pit to warn them of imminent danger of gas, I suggest that everybody keeps a close eye around about 21st December 2012 on their hamsters. And if the hamsters suddenly start doing this, then I strongly suggest you put on your helmet, remain indoors, and hang on to something very sturdy, and humankind may very well survive the next apocalypse.